Welcome back to Close Up. Last week's debates wrapped up with the 1st Congressional District Republicans. Very interesting dynamics in this race, with a last-minute entrant skyrocketing into the top tier of contention as the most openly pro-Trump candidate on the ballot. That would be Alderman Joe Kelly LaVasseur. But lots of candidates involved here, and let's bring Scott Spradling into this for some top-notch analysis, as always.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Scott, first, what's the big takeaway from this 30-minute debate with these candidates?
So I tell you what, all 4 of them actually performed pretty well. I'm not sure in a takeaway of a primary going in with these 4 as the top 4 contenders, and it wasn't 100% clear on who might be the front runner. Walking out of it, I have a personal favorite who I thought performed the best, but I think each of those 4 has a shot at winning the nomination on Tuesday.
Especially because so many of them were introducing themselves to a statewide audience for the first time. There was perhaps something to like for all kinds of voters. But in particular, we know in the 1st District that support for President Donald Trump is huge. Let's take a listen and see what they had to say about that one topic.
You know, it's said that this is the most important election of our lifetime, and I've heard it so many times, and many times I've had questions. Maybe it's not. But to me, this one is the most important election of a lifetime. And frankly, the way to get out of this, to be able to change the direction, is to have Trump win.
Well, the simple question is, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? I don't think there's anybody that thinks we're better off today than we were 4 years ago. I have Trump or bust on my signs. It's not a slogan. It's a fact. If we don't change this administration and get back to where we were, we're not going to go anywhere.
I don't subscribe to fanboy politics. I mean, as an Army officer, I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States, period, end stop. So, do I like Donald Trump's policies? I do. I think all of his policies make a ton of sense. The border was secure, our economy was humming, and quite frankly, what got me over the edge with Donald Trump was when he said he was going to drain the swamp. That resonated with me.
The Biden-Harris administration has weakened not only our nation, but the world. We have out-of-control illegal immigration. We have rising energy costs, rising interest rates. People at the kitchen table are suffering, trying to make ends meet.
Scott, you know, Russell Prescott and Joe Kelly LaVasseur have been 1-2 or 2-1 in polling so far in this race. And Russell Prescott may have not been a big Make America Great Again guy at any time previously, but if you're watching this debate and tuning in for the first time, he seemed to do a pretty good job positioning himself on the side of Trump.
I agree. We were talking just before this and saying that this was probably Russ Prescott's best performance on a debate stage. But it's very hard to match that intensity and energy of a Joe Kelly LaVasseur. And the fact that he's come in as a newcomer, I think you and I are both watching the history books and assuming that maybe in New Hampshire in the Republican primary, as 2022 is being our guide, that the tighter a bear hug you give to Donald Trump, seemingly the better you do in a primary outcome. So with that as a barometer, it seems like Joe Kelly had probably the best answer, and he's the all-in candidate on that. Chris Bright left a little wiggle room. Holly Novoleski, a newcomer. Again, all 4 of them had their own unique style and sort of form of eloquence. But I think on that argument, and from a performance standard and a level of confidence standard, I think Joe Kelly won that debate.
And you know, around here in Manchester, he's not just an alderman, but a media figure as well. And I think a lot of people are watching tonight to see, wow, are we going to see combative Joe Kelly LaVasseur get out here? And he didn't do that tonight.
No, he didn't. Other than calling the Biden administration a bunch of idiots right at the very end of your debate, he was restrained, and I think that benefited him a great deal. And, you know, I've known Joe Kelly for a long time, and I don't think he would disagree with me saying to him about him that he can be quite the bomb thrower at times. He is now the head of the Board of Aldermen in Manchester. For those that do not watch Manchester politics closely, he is now in the leadership seat in that realm. He wasn't before, so he would be the guy that we like to sort of affectionately refer to as the backbenchers, right? The one that was just throwing the bombs at people when he was mad about something. He's channeled that energy quite a bit in this campaign, but he is very much the Donald Trump candidate. So to me, that's an interesting X factor in a quartet of sort of front runners that are largely introducing themselves to a voting public.
And we've got a little bit of time left here, Scott, maybe 30 seconds for your answer. It's a mystery about what might happen in this race. How much is ground game, to the extent that they have it, could make a difference on Tuesday?
I believe it is the big X factor. And the question is, who has it? Because it's a really hard thing to know about. We're seeing all 4 of them running ads, so we know they're above the waterline. But my guess is that Russ Prescott, having been in the race the longest and being the sort of real establishment Republican, has the best ground game. But that will be an enormous X factor in this race at this point. And it's really hard to measure. We don't know.
Yeah, and before we wrap up here, I wanted to ask, too, Chris Bright attacking Holly Novoletsky twice.
Yeah.
An interesting choice.
A very interesting choice, and I'm not sure if he noticed the polls. And you know, honestly, if I'm a Republican doing that, I'm going after Chris Pappas. His name was barely mentioned through the course of the 30-minute debate. You make your point with Holly Novoletsky once, you go back twice, and it looks a little bit of a head-scratcher. I'm not sure the strategy play there.
Right, and also on television as well, and that, right next to each other. He's a big guy, she's very small.
Yeah.
The dynamics can look a little different on TV sometimes.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays for voters.
Absolutely.
But clearly he wanted to make a point there.
Indeed.
Well, Scott Spradling, thanks so much for
Adam.
providing the analysis.
Congrats
as always.
on an amazing week.
We
You did a
appreciate it.
great
We'll do
job.
it again in a few weeks.
Okay.
Okay, that wraps up this edition of Close Up New Hampshire. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the politics page on our website and mobile app for more in-depth analysis and to sign up for our weekly newsletter. Of course, tune in again on Tuesday for full election coverage, but we'll be back next week. Have a great Sunday.